trustees and Mayor Tiffany Henyard held a public meeting together, but not at Village Hall.
A Dalton home that she leased to Mayor Tiffany Henyard has filed eviction papers. She says Henyard has not paid her rent, and now
The ongoing drama surrounding the Don saga is becoming more and more sensational by the day, with Mayor Tiffany Henyard, dubbed the super mayor by some, situated right in the middle of it all. However, it is still unclear whether she is truly super or just extremely controversial. This unfolding spectacle has all the makings of a TV political thriller, complete with a cast of dubious characters, a string of dubious decisions, and a flurry of legal battles that could leave anyone dumbfounded. Her tenure has been characterized by both vocal supporters praising. Tension increased when the FBI opened an investigation into her actions, bringing her administration into the public eye with accusations that have sparked heated discussions and increased public scrutiny. Her ambitious leadership and critics' criticism of her alleged mistakes had created a deeply divided community. Henyard's divisive leadership style, coupled with the rumors of backroom agreements and growing charges, fuels the story of intrigue and puts doubt on the intentions of important characters in the drama that is developing. She is becoming a lightning rod for controversy due to her increasingly complicated legal entanglements. With each new revelation, the tale gets more complicated, engrossing observers and raising the stakes for everyone involved. Supporters maintain that her audacious measures are required to push through much-needed reforms, while critics contend her strategy has crossed ethical lines. It is unclear if Henyard will be seen as a misguided leader entangled in a web of political scheming or as a mayor whose ambition missiled her. Be seen, but one thing is for sure. In a world full of mysterious alliance changes and an apparently never-ending flow of events, Sava has the community abuzz with rumors, and its resolution promises to have a lasting impact on her legacy. Henyard's story has come to represent contemporary political theater that blends reality with fiction. Dramatic stakes are fit for the big screen.
It's the only community that in order to get a business license or a liquor license, you need
The newest controversy surrounding Dalton, Illinois, Mayor Tiffany Henyard centers on her contentious choice to name Ronald Burge as the town's new police chief, a move that initially caused unrest in the community. It may seem like a routine mayoral duty to appoint a police chief, but in Tiffany Henyard, where controversy seems to follow every decision, Henyard's hand-picked candidate for the position, Ronald Burge, has more red flags than accolades, and his appointment has caused confusion and outrage throughout the town. The Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board found that Burge is not even legally qualified to serve as a police officer, much less as the department's top cop. Has listed Burge as inactive, which means he lacks the legal authority to carry a firearm, issue citations, or carry out any of the basic duties expected of a police officer. Nevertheless, Henyard proceeded with the appointment, ignoring the concerns of both community members and town trustees. Her decision has not only raised doubts about her judgment, but it has also sparked a heated legal battle with the town's trustees, who contend that the appointment is illegal and ill-advised. Her adamant defense of her choice hasn't done much to stop the mounting backlash, as critics accuse her of putting her personal loyalty ahead of her professional qualifications. The debate has intensified even more. Dalton's leadership split, with trustees publicly opposing Henyard's. Members of the community are similarly outraged with the appointment, seeing it as another instance of the mayor's disrespect for law and established conventions, and expressing amazement at her readiness to move forward with a candidate who lacks the requisite qualifications. Concerns regarding the stability and governance of Dalton have also been raised by the situation, with many wondering how a mayor can defend the appointment of a police chief who is incapable of carrying out even the most basic responsibilities of the position. Meanwhile, the town's legal machinery has been put into motion, with trustees promising to contest the appointment through every avenue available, but they remain defiant, characterizing the uproar as a politically motivated attack rather than a sincere concern for the welfare of the community. The stakes for Lye and the town of Dalton have never been higher as the scandal continues to unfold. It remains to be seen if this latest controversy will mark a turning point in her administration or simply add to the growing list of challenges facing her leadership. But one thing is certain: the decision to appoint an unqualified police chief has not only caused further chaos in the town, but has also cemented Henyard's reputation as one of the most divisive figures in Dalton's history.
Henyard's landlord showed up here to see her tenant in person after she says Henyard has been dodging both her and rent payments for months.
In order to completely comprehend the controversies surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard's appointment of Ronald Burge as the police chief of Dothan, Illinois, it is necessary to consider the wider picture. Since taking office in 2021, Henyard has been no stranger to scandals and has frequently made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Reports show that tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars were used to fund extravagant travel, lavish dinners, and even a lavish Valentine's Day party that featured igloo R&B music and many selfies, all on the public's dime. Naturally, this extravagant use of public funds sparked outrage among Dothan residents who felt betrayed by their leader's apparent disregard for fiscal responsibility. But Henyard's spending habits are just one piece of the puzzle. Her tendency to associate with controversial people exacerbates concerns about her leadership, which leads us to the current controversy surrounding Ronald Burge. When he was appointed police chief, critics quickly pointed out his obvious disqualifications, especially the fact that his law enforcement certification had expired in 2020. This means that Burge is legally prohibited from carrying a firearm in public, which is a basic ability for any member of law enforcement, much less one who is in charge of an entire police department. Trustees and the community were immediately alarmed by the nomination, questioning Henyard's judgment and motivations. Critics argue that this move is part of a broader pattern of prioritizing personal alliances over qualifications and community safety, and Henyard's decision to ignore these red flags and press forward with the appointment has left many Dalton residents frustrated and distrustful of her leadership. To make matters worse, her response to the criticism has only deepened the controversy rather than addressing the legitimate concerns surrounding Burge's qualifications. The community was already doubtful of her actions, and Henyard has dismissed the backlash as politically motivated attacks. The decision has also rekindled discussions about accountability and transparency in Dalton's government, with trustees publicly contesting Henyard's authority and vowing to challenge Burge's appointment through the legal system. Meanwhile, the scandal has already made the public less trusting of an administration. Criticized for its spending patterns and dubious leadership selections, Henyard's defiance in the face of mounting criticism paints a picture of a mayor willing to gamble with the town's stability and public security to further her personal goals. The appointment of an unqualified police chief feels like the final straw in an administration rife with controversy, raising serious questions about what comes next for the town and its embattled leader. Whether Henyard's bold decisions will ultimately serve as a testament to her resilience or further solidify her as a divisive figure remains uncertain. But one thing is certain: the scandals surrounding her leadership continue to overshadow any attempts at governance, leaving Dothan in a state of turmoil and uncertainty. Outrage over Burge's appointment is intensifying as it highlights the larger issues that have defined Henyard's time in office, including a perceived disregard for norms, an inability to collaborate with other officials, and a pattern of decisions that seem to prioritize optics and loyalty over competence and community well-being.
Finger to Tiffany or allow me, I'm over it. Now it's time.
Even stranger is the fact that, in spite of Burge's inactive status, the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board sent Henyard a letter strongly advising her to fire him from the position she is currently pursuing. The letter was fairly clear. Burge cannot serve in any law enforcement capacity until Dalton submits the required paperwork and completes the required requalification, but Tiffany Henyard isn't exactly known for following the rules. In fact, this isn't the first time that she has disregarded the town's trustees. When she made the appointment, the majority of the board opposed it, pointing out that according to the village's ordinances, she should get their approval before appointing someone to such a crucial role. If you don't think that stopped her, You haven't been paying attention. Henyard proceeded with the appointment anyway, starting a legal battle that is currently being fought in court. The landlord of Henyard came here to meet her tenant in person after she claimed that Henyard had been evading both her and rent payments for months. And let's not forget that Burge Pinard has a history of appointing contentious people. It seems as though she has a talent for choosing individuals with dubious backgrounds, or, at the very least, those who aren't entirely suited for the roles they're being assigned. She hires and recruits people like a mob boss, and it's hard to argue with that. It seems like every choice she makes is intended to consolidate power and surround herself with people who won't challenge her authority. For instance, the former police chief L. Lacey was another of Pinard's appointments, and guess what? Another online commenter claimed that he also had an active status with the state. This isn't an isolated incident. Rather, there is a discernible pattern, which is alarming to say the least. Does this all point the finger at Tiffany, or should I say that I'm over it? I've been saying this about all TIPS appointments. If the state of Illinois has listed an individual as inactive, it cannot be an officer. Lacey has the same inactive listing in Illinois. And I need some time. Tiffany Henyard seems to thrive in the chaos holding on of her position and even preparing for re-election in spite of all the legal disputes, public outrage, and growing scandals. She recently declared her intention to run for mayor again, and in true Garden form, she used a bold, eye-catching social media post to make the announcement, post attention, 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 I'm running for mayor of Dolton again, which is subtle, but the thing is that in spite of all the drama, Henyard won her first turn with the landslide victory, receiving over 80% of the vote. This shows that she has a base of supporters who believe in her, or at least did in 2021. It remains to be seen if that support will endure in the face of all these scandals. But one thing's for sure, Pinard isn't going down without a fight. She's made it clear that she's not stepping aside, no matter how many legal battles she has to fight or how many people call for her resignation. So now I have to pay a special process service in order to get them served, which is more fees for me. And speaking of legal battles, let's talk about the latest court ruling after Henyard appointed Burge. The town's trustees immediately pushed back, filing a restraining order to prevent him from serving as police chief without their approval. A judge initially sided with the trustees, saying that Burge couldn't serve in a role without going through the proper channels. But then, after a particularly chaotic village board meeting, the judge reversed course, ruling that Burge could serve as interim police chief for 30 days while the village figures out a more permanent solution. You'd think that would settle things at least temporarily. But no, the trustees are now planning to go back to court with a letter from the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board in hand, arguing that Burge shouldn't even be allowed to serve in an interim capacity given his inactive status. And honestly, they've got a point. How can someone who isn't legally qualified to carry a firearm, exercise law enforcement authority, be trusted to lead an entire police department? A catastrophe is simply waiting to happen here since I'm at Wynn. And I'm afraid that
the special board meeting, because business has not gotten done at 2 previous meetings. So that's some progress there. But this meeting was not without its fair share.
Going to go into foreclosure soon if I can't fix this. But if you think the legal drama was limited to Burge's appointment, think again. Tiffany Henyard is battling the trustees over her hiring decisions and is also juggling personal legal issues. According to the landlord, Janetta Hull, she has known Henyard for years and even thought of him as a friend. However, everything changed when Henyard and Woods moved into her property and stopped paying rent. She has tried to serve them with eviction papers, but they have so far avoided being served. Worse, Henyard and her boyfriend, Kamal Woods, are currently facing eviction from their Dotton rental home because they haven't paid rent since August and now owe thousands in back rent. Henyard and Woods said that the rent had changed the locks on the property, making it difficult for her to enter or conduct a peek. There was a lot of tension during the conversation, Micah. It's a complex situation that just serves to confirm the notion that Henyard is out of control. This was a special board meeting because there had been some progress in the previous 2 meetings because of unresolved issues. If you think the eviction drama is the end, Hull's statement that as mayor, you would think they would uphold positive citizen standards, You don't see that with these people. They just feel like they can do whatever they want, is one of her most telling quotes. It basically captures the growing frustration in Dalton as people start to believe that Henyard is more interested in serving herself than the community. Henyard's issues let that sink in for a moment. You are regrettably mistaken. Earlier this year, the FBI was investigating the towns of Dalton and Thoron, where Henyard is also the town supervisor. We are talking about lavish parties, questionable contracts, and a lot of purchases that seem a little too private for public funds. You are a clown, and we will continue to speak out against wrongdoing. Why won't you resign? Henyard used the village's credit card to spend nearly $43,000 on Amazon in a single day last year. Henyard has allegedly used public funds to purchase goods at Target, Walgreens, Wayfair, and other establishments. At the same time, the town is becoming more indebted, with a deficit that is already approaching $5 million, according to an earlier preliminary study. The village's general fund balance dropped relatively sharply this year, from over $5 million in 2021 to 2022 to a loss of $365 million by May 2024, according to the Lightfoot team. Even former Chicago Mayor Lori L. Lee got involved and started looking into Dalton's financial situation. The decline seems to be mostly caused by Henyard's spending habits, but she insists she has done nothing wrong and that everything is a power and money grab. In fact, she has been very vocal about her innocence, even accusing her opponents of participating in a power and money grab. During a 90-minute earlier this year, Liv posted on Facebook that she would be seeking arrest for everyone involved and pressing charges. That's a lot, and that's just me telling you a few things the truth speaks, so I'm tired of people accusing Tiffany of lying to me. However, for months, Henyard has been promising to spill the beans, but she hasn't done so. She even hinted at starting a podcast to give her side of the story, but that plan never materialized either. Instead, we've received vague accusations, a lot of finger-pointing, and little concrete evidence to back up her claims. Meanwhile, her critics are getting louder, the legal battles are getting more intense, and I will be pursuing arrests for those involved. I'll be filing charges, so please share your thoughts in the space provided below.